Greetings, I am Toglin, Hell's Harlequin, but you may call me Tog. So today we are going to talk about the curious case of Miss Colleen Ballinger. She has recently turned into the internet's latest supervillain with her very non-apology ukulele song, which is, in my opinion, one of the most hilarious pieces of internet drama. I don't really want to call it drama, because drama, for lack of better words, because I don't like to call things that are clearly criminal drama, but this is a very funny, non-funny situation. She has basically sang her way into her own demise by, that toxic gossip train. But luckily for Miss Colleen, we have a gentleman named Andrew who works for Vanity Fair, trying to minimize the scandal as much as possible. So let's look at that. Let's see how good he is at padding this obvious, fluff piece. It's hard to make a fluff piece when somebody is so clearly in the wrong, but the amount of softening he tries to do in this article is just insane. So let's just get right to it. I might be tripping up a lot or so because I wanted to show off how cute I look today because my makeup is very much on point. But that also means I'm not wearing my glasses, so I'm going to have to squint and get really close to the screen sometimes. And like I said, I'll probably trip up a little bit. Colleen Ballinger has been a YouTube star for more than a decade, amassing tens of millions of followers, many of whom found her when they were teens or even younger. They fell hard for her potty humor, specifically her fictional alter ego, Miranda sings, a talentless adolescent who delusionally believes she can sing despite the fact she's always off key. The persona resonates with outcast kids who found her desperate desire for fame to be oh so accurately cringe. Gotta throw in those buzzwords. Vanity Fair. Gotta seem all cool and hip and whatnots. Such success earned Ballinger a Netflix series, sold out live shows, and recently, rapidly intensifying controversy. Last month, Rolling Stones published a story alleging that Ballinger has engaged in inappropriate behavior with underage fans. The magazine verified screenshots of text in which Ballinger asked a minor about their virginity status and their favorite sexual position. Gross. She also asked them to send pictures of their body. So, if she was a man, how many people think that alone would have the FBI all over her or him? That's pretty creepy. And she asked for a picture of his ass. That's what she asked for. However inappropriate her alleged behavior was, this article clarifies that no sexual crimes have been committed and that no evidence in review has hinted at the possibility Ballinger had intended to start a sexual relationship with a child. Ballinger did not respond to Rolling Stone's multiple requests for comment. I don't want a sexual relationship with you. I just want a shot of your 13-year-old ass. That makes perfect sense. Okay. To those steeped in the world of YouTube fandom, a chaotic shape-shifting minefield where allegiances are fortified and swapped by the hour. Many of these claims are not new. Well, that means that it's just taken her a long time to really be called out. Ballinger has already responded to some, on YouTube of course. Rolling Stone's piece was a tame, legally sound, one could argue, compared to the language and rumors that have been flying around for years. Yet its publication preceded stalker allegations against Ballinger, getting similarly ushered into mainstream press. A few days after Rolling Stone's piece went live, Huffington Post published its own investigative report. Her fans say she groomed them as teens. In ensuing weeks, Ballinger's accusations of everything from performing a Beyonce song in blackface, as Miranda sings, to texting a sex worker's nude photos to a minor. Ballinger's legal team has denied the performance in blackface, saying that she was wearing green face to cover a song from Wicked. Her tour has since been canceled, her career abruptly stalled. When reached for comment, Ballinger's lawyer replied with an email that Vanity fans' inquiries were a simple regulation of baseless, unsubstantiated claims that other media outlets and individuals on social media have reported previously. Don't you love that her legal team said, oh, no, she wasn't in blackface? Like, that's what we actually care about. I don't give a damn about the alleged blackface. You're sending pictures. You're sending porn to minors. And it's really fun how they're downplaying just saying that this is a sex worker. Because if you know anything about the situation, she sent pictures of Trisha Paytas. As in like, do dogs have brains? Trisha Paytas. Like, the original female supervillain. The original internet villainess. The one who's, sparked outrage outrage content for many, many years. Like, basically, I think when the internet was born, she just was born to outrage the internet. That is her. But the thing is, Miranda, she's supposed to be your friend. She and, why did I say Miranda? Miranda's her stage name. But yes, Colleen, she is supposed to be your friend. Trisha and Colleen are actually co-hosts on a podcast together. And they are like, oh my God, you're my bestie in person. But Miss Colleen has been having screening parties in private servers so that they can look up her, she has her own version of OnlyFans called Trishaland or Trishyland, and they look up nude photos of her. And yes, Colleen is such a loser that she has paid for a subscription to Trishyland just so she can take her nude photos, look at it with a bunch of minors, and laugh at her fat friend. Who does that? Could you imagine being invited to that? Like, hey, you know what? Let's sit around and look at my friend on OnlyFans. We're just going to laugh at my friend's nudes. Why would you do that? Who does that with a bunch of teenagers? That is the weirdest thing I have ever heard. Like, it's gross, inappropriate, but also just weird. That is, I don't get it. Do people just have too much free time? It's like, I'm just gonna go make fun of my friends' nudes. I wouldn't even look up my friends' nudes. Most of my friends, I try and imagine that they're like as anatomically incorrect as Barbie dolls. I don't want to see my friends naked. Thank you very much. Let alone would I make, so let alone would I then, I don't even want to see my enemies naked. I could never see myself, subscribing to someone's OnlyFans just to make fun of them. That is just the weirdest, like, just that alone is weird. And inviting minors to do it with you, that is just unhinged, deranged, and criminal. It is illegal to show nude photos to minors. Like, why is this so hard to understand? It's illegal to show porn to minors. Can't we just agree with this? She needs to be in jail. Let's move on. The reality of some of these claims and in turn the broader narrative around Miss Ballinger remains murky. Various allegations remain unverified, except for we have screenshots of chat rooms where minors are, or it's like a chat room message board. Anyways, we have screenshots of chat rooms where minors are with pictures that Miss Colleen herself put up of a naked Trisha Paytas. So what do you mean unverified? Maybe it should have just gone to the police rather than the court of public opinions. But either way, left to endlessly circulate as they fall under an ever-expanding umbrella of inappropriate behavior. Okay, so if the umbrella now just had to expand to include staring at naked pictures of your friends with minors as inappropriate? That is something that should have always been inappropriate. What do you mean this is recently inappropriate? That, like, the writer of this article just now learned what propriety even was? Was he like, oh yeah, this is perfectly normal? What? Looking at your fat friend and making fun of them with minors is inappropriate? The audacity. I've been doing that for years. I think the writer of this article needs to be investigated if he thinks this is newly inappropriate behavior. In a sense, this is a familiar story for the social media age, but Ballinger's downfall is unique. She brought teens into an adult world. Ew. Don't put it that way. What's wrong with you? And made it feel like it was theirs. That sentence does not help either. They then saw those fans turn against her. It's the product of a particular era of YouTube stardom, of a digital persona able to cultivate a feverish and savvy fan base that has been trained to reverse and maybe seek payback with the first spilling of tea. You could be forgiven if you were one of the millions who, back in the summer of 2020, allied some COVID anxiety by diving into YouTube drama unfolding between Ballinger and her former fan. Yeah, I'm going to mess up his last name, so I'm just going to call him Adam. I'm just going to call you by your first name, Adam. And then 17-year-old. Ballinger was his idol. Her merch could be seen all over the Irish teenager's bedroom, where he recorded his own voice. He was an inspiring influence himself, making sweet, low-stakes YouTube content about his life. On June 22nd, Adam posted a video on his channel titled "Calling Ballinger Stop Lying." In it, Adam told several seemingly unrelated stories. One recounted the time where Ballinger sent him lingerie in the mail to his mother's horror. The lingerie was new and unworn, and Ballinger has since apologized for sending it. That doesn't make it any better. So, okay, if you want context because you don't know what's going on, apparently, Adam was 13, and he was one of her big fans. She knew exactly who he was. He was in her private chats, and he chided her for buying so much ugly clothes from Forever 21, and she decided to be snarky back with him and being like, "Aw, Adam, do you want a bra? Do you want one of my bras?" And they're like, and he just said as a joke, "Sure," not actually thinking she would send him the bra. And he totally did. So, who does that? She was like, I think she was 30 at the time, or in her late 20s. I'm sorry, but even if it was new and unworn, don't send bras to 13-year-olds. Is that something we need to tell people now? Like, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that to begin with? You could say, it was just a joke. But I could see saying that you're going to do it and then not actually doing it. But you actually did it. Why? What is wrong with you? Like, and what is wrong with people who defend this? Being like, oh yeah, there's a good explanation for it. No. No. Do not send lingerie to 13-year-old boys. Just don't. If you ever say, well, I have a reason. No. Context doesn't matter. Just don't send lingerie to 13-year-old boys. Has, like, nobody learned any etiquette? Can we just not diddle kids? Please? Like, why does the internet have to learn these lessons? Like, any person, you ask a random person on the street, so should a 30-year-old lady send lingerie to a 13-year-old? What? She hasn't worn it. Most people say, I'm going to call the police right now. No. It's new lingerie. I've never worn it. Should I send it to a 13-year-old? Yeah, I'm going to call the police. That's what I'm going to do. I think you need to be on a list. Okay. Another was intended to debunk the rumor that he was secretly behind some anti-Miranda Singh social media account that Ballinger got wind of. A third concerned the fallout tweets that Ballinger allowed Adam to post as Miranda Sings from the character's Twitter account that led to him never being allowed to post on her behalf again. He's been considered her social media intern, he said, with hopes of being employed by her one day. Like, okay, full context of this, because I've looked up a lot of things. So for months, he'd been sending tweets to her for trying to get her more in touch with the youngsters, because most of her content is for a younger audience than what she is. And she knows nothing about video games or what these kids are into nowadays. She didn't even know what Animal Crossing was. So for months, he's been sending her dozens upon dozens and dozens of tweets to post as Miranda Sings. And she's like, you know what, kid? I'll just go ahead and let you post for me. Have at it, because, you know, I just don't want to be bothered by this. And so then he screws it up. He finally posted something that got some backlash. And and then she sort of banned him from doing that. She never once paid him. And I wanted to, talk about the concept of unpaid interns to begin with. So everyone's really against the concept. I think the idea of it had a place, but it is so abused, I think that the concept needs to be reevaluated. The reason I'm not wholeheartedly against it is because, okay, the place that it had was, the use of an unpaid intern is that you are actually harming the company by being trained by them for any prolonged periods of time. So therefore you are untrained because you are getting more services from the company than what they would be paying you for. Like a good example of this would be, let's say you wanted to be a watchmaker and you knew a guy who was a watchmaker and you're like, listen, sir, I want to be your assistant. I want to learn everything I can from you. And he's like, okay, if I teach you watchmaking, I will, it will take me back and stuff like that. So I'm not going to pay you to help me, to help me make watches, but you will learn the valuable skill of watchmaking. And if you're actually talented at watchmaking, I will hire you. So you can see how his business is even hurting trying to get you up to par as a watchmaker. So therefore you're actually getting more out of this relationship than the watchmaker is. That's why they don't pay you, because otherwise they will suffer double fold. And that's the whole purpose of that whole concept is the whole purpose of an unpaid internship. The problem is that it's greatly abused, because think about it. If he's just simply taking over her Twitter, what is she teaching him? He is getting no benefit, all stress, and she is getting everything out of it. That is a very manipulative behavior, and that is not an unpaid intern, at least not what it's supposed to be doing, because he's not getting any training. He's getting no benefit. She is just simply taking advantage of free labor. It might sound strange to hear that Ballinger had put a fan in charge of the character's Twitter to begin with, but the access went in line with her public image. Ballinger was closely in line with her most devoted young viewers. A little too close, if you ask me. For her to remove that access, as Adam experienced, felt painful. Adam felt that Ballinger was guilting him selfishly preoccupied with her reputation rather than his feelings. After the backlash, she apologized for the tweet, later denied ever blaming Adam, and said that she should have reviewed his tweets more carefully. So even though she personally, apologized as Miranda, we find out that not only did she cut him out of her ability to post on Twitter, she basically just stonewalled him, no longer associated with him, kicked him out of the Weenies chat. Yeah, she called her chat full of minors the Weenies chat. I could say something about that, but that's just, Are we sure she had no sexual intentions with these kids? Are we sure? Okay, let's just move on. Then came the YouTube response to Adam's YouTube accusations. A classic back and forth. If the names James Charles and Tatty Westbrook mean anything to you, you get the idea. I know James Charles, but I don't know the other person. Ballinger, 33 at the time, responded to the teen posting a classic apology video. She revealed screenshots and Instagram DMs that she'd sent to Adam, and one that Adam's mother had purportedly sent to her, which seemed to Ballinger's way of assuring viewers what really happened. Strategy unlike Adam's. In a DM, she accused him of going too far, supposedly responding to him, asking her to imagine her newborn son being taken advantage of in the same way her son was, how she would feel. Well, that's a good thing. Why is that too far? If you're taking advantage of some teenager, saying, imagine if someone was taking advantage of your son. Why is that pushing it too far? I don't get it. According to her, he'd even sent photos of himself jokingly posting the underwear to the group chat, including Ballinger and most notably her fans. Ballinger painted a seemingly accurate portrait of Miranda Sings community, a silly place for kids like Adam to belong, looking up to an increasingly famous and powerful figure. I'm not a monster. I'm not a monster. I'm not a groomer. I don't deserve to die, Ballinger said in a video, alluring to the possibility she's received death threats. I've heard I don't deserve to die in that song, and she was talking about her reputation. Why do we always got to make this a little bit too over-dramatized? And what do you mean it's a silly place? Oh, it's a silly place. Look! Boys are posing in bras for Ballinger. What a silly place. This is... This is not okay. We don't... Your solution is to blame a 13-year-old for inappropriate activities, not blame a 30-year-old. Because a 13-year-old boy apparently has more sway than a 30-year-old woman. Can we just look at who's the adult in this picture? Can we please just take a moment and think, who is the adult? Okay, like, it's also baffling to me because Miss Colleen and I are the same age. We're the same age. Can I ever imagine being this inappropriate with my teenage fans? No, I don't even think I have teenage fans, to be honest. I think, like, I've looked at my analytics and all of you people are adults. I know there's not too many of you, but everyone's an adult who follows me. And sure, sometimes I overshare in my Discord, but I overshare to adults. Everyone's an adult. If I had a teen in my Discord, especially if I had like a 13-year-old in my Discord, do you think I would be texting them constantly on their birthday, telling them about how my marriage is going and how intimate aspects of my ex, and because that's something she did. She apparently texted Adam throughout his entire birthday, and he's got the receipts to prove it. Like all the text messages she was sending him on his birthday, she was involving him in her divorce drama. Which, I'm not against the idea of pulling a friend in your divorce drama. Sometimes we all need a friend. But if I was a grown woman, I would not be dragging some little boy in my divorce drama. little boy who's unrelated to me, someone who's not an adult, never had a serious relationship, why would I be asking someone like that for emotional help? She's rich. Get a freaking counselor. Don't don't make 13-year-old little boys do mental labor for you. What is wrong with her? Seriously. I don't even know if she needs jail time. Does she just need some sort of mental help? Does she need to be institutionalized? I've always been opposed to institutions, but maybe Miss Ballinger needs to go there, because even if she did nothing inappropriate, who in the world thinks it's okay to unload all of your emotional burdens to 13-year-old boys from across the world? Who does that? I don't know what universe Ballinger lives in. Not this one. All right, back to the article. I'm just getting a little heated on this because, as a mom, I can't stand as a mom. I get to use that line. Makes me sound so authoritative. Anyways, as a mom, I cannot stand the idea of someone taking advantage of my kids like that. That makes me very, very leery about, who my kids are talking to on the internet. If you find out your kids have an online friend that they're chatting with constantly, start asking some serious questions about that online friend and what's going on. Because, when you have a big YouTuber like that, just simply making friends with your fans, there's a power imbalance. But then making friends with your 13-year-old fans, the power imbalance is just that's catastrophic. It's insane. They're not even on the same planet level of power imbalance. Okay, so let's try and get through this article. This article's making me legitimately angry. I'm feeling the angers. Public opinion, or at least YouTube fandom, swayed back towards Ballinger through the pendulum would swing back and forth for years. Adam enlisted a new YouTube identity as Ballinger's whistleblower, frequently posting new videos and racking up hundreds of thousands of views, commenting on the hypocrisy of her every move. Meanwhile, Ballinger continued to work on her YouTube channel, from Miranda sings satire to Colleen vlogs, offered a wholesome lifestyle of content about her kids. Adam appeared to seize on this, accusing Ballinger's brother's family, the Ballinger family, who have a family-oriented channel, of engaging and exploiting their children online. How creepy that I felt I watched them grow up. It's disgusting. His critique gave way with the announcement of the whole family channel more broadly. Well, a lot of people feel that about family YouTubers. I haven't really gotten into the comments, but I know that there is definitely something icky about family channels. I'm not going to lie about that, because I think it can start out nice and innocent, and I'm sure there's I've looked up that content before, but not looked up that content before because when I first had my baby, I looked up more of tips to calm babies and, stuff like that. If other people have, relatable experiences from moms. And I ran across certain family vlogging channels just because they had good advice. And I'm like, okay, I'll use that. But then I noticed that it wasn't just simply an advice channel. It was a full vlog. So I've accidentally ran across those, but I was more just looking for advice. And, I don't mind the idea of having your kids in occasional videos. My child keeps trying to beg to be in my videos. She was almost to the point of crying to be begging to help try and raise money for Dragon. And I told her no, because I felt like, it's just a little too icky to exploit my child like that. I say that I use the picture of my child with the bearded dragon as fundraiser picture. But I don't know. I just think putting her in a video, that's a little too icky for me. There's just certain lines that I personally wouldn't feel good about. But I know that there's very legitimate reasons to criticize the family vlogging channels as it is because, you know how little Hollywood celebrities get when it comes to children and treatment? Well, yeah, there is no protections for children who, are social media darlings. There isn't. And I think that it is irresponsible to have a family vlogging channel while there's no protections for minors online. At least so little protections for minors online when parents are posting on their behalf. I can't imagine how difficult it would be to grow up in a setting where where you feel like your parents have just taken advantage of you. I mean, like, look at Hollywood children. They usually grow up pretty messed up. But I think that's a different conversation. Let's try and get through this. Let's try and get through this article. I have more to say, and we still have quite a bit of article left. For years, this drama was very insular and probably should have stayed that way. The drama should have stayed insular. Like, no one should say anything about someone sending porn to children, giving them a one-way ticket to Trishyland. You know, she's talking about the toxic gossip train. Well, she's giving them all one-way tickets to Trishyland. You know, that's yay! Fun times, everyone. We don't need to talk about that. Oh my. I don't know who's more punchable. Is it the writer of this article? Like, why are you simping for her? Is she paying you? Or are you just that much of a white knight? What is wrong with this writer? I seriously think this is the most punchable writer I have ever read. And you've seen me like giggle and read articles from everyday feminism, and I've never gotten this upset. This legitimately makes me angry. This is a rape apologist. Like, okay, not a rapist because she hasn't raped anyone, but this like reads like pedo apology. Who does that? Like, pedophiles do not need apologetics. What is... Oh, it's painful. I'm looking into the abyss and it's looking back at me. Oh, it's so painful. Okay. And it probably should have stayed that way, but on June 7th, Adam posted an anti-Ballinger video, as he does every so often. This was titled, "My Relationship with Colleen Ballinger." He had a new detail and he claimed... He had new details, he claimed, describing staying up with her back when they were close, listening her talk to him about her divorce. According to Adam, she embroiled him in a hateful campaign against her ex-husband. Then he came to a realization that shocked YouTube. The woman used me. This woman groomed me. The line set in motion yet another stream of blowbacks against Ballinger. This time the word groomed captured the attention of the mainstream press as well. The substance of Ballinger's alleged grooming has not gone beyond Adam's description in his videos, or what other fans have alleged thereafter. It has not been interrogated by other media outlets reporting the controversy either. Huffington's published allegations of grooming flexibly employed the term in a fashion not unlike how it's weaponized by right-wing circles against the LGBT. Excuse me? Like, sure, there's those right-wing people who say that, oh my God, if you tell my kids that gays exist, you're grooming them to be gay. I don't know why I did that accent. I'm sorry, Southern people. But no. And I think most of the time when they say grooming kids, a lot of more reasonable people are talking about taking your kids to pride parades where we see men twerking in thongs. Like, there is context matters. I hate blanket statements. I do. Like, before I agree or disagree with any big blanket statement, sure, some groups in the LGBTQ groom kids. Most do not. Like, normally what we see is outrage content, because that's what gets more views, because the average pride parade and things like that is actually not that outrageous. I've been to quite a few of them, and most of the time when they're in public, they have, like, public attire and things like that, and are pretty normal. They're just rainbowy. But this seems like a red herring. Like, oh, look at that blackface. Look at that gaze. Look at that. You know, like, oh, don't look at what Ballinger's doing. Think about this. We're just going to attack whoever is attacking her. Like, look, she definitely didn't do blackface. And you know what? The right wing accused gay people of grooming people too. So, you know, she's definitely not a groomer. The perception of Ballinger as a groomer nevertheless has snowballed. Okay, like, seriously though, when you groom a kid, you're grooming them into being more easily manipulated by adults. You're grooming them into a relationship with a heavy power dynamic, and she already has a heavy power dynamic with her very young fans. And she may not have gotten any sexual gratification on that, although I think that can be argued, considering the way she was flirting with the kids in the Discords and such. Was it Discord or was it like Skype rooms? I don't know what she was using, but with her private chats. I don't know. Even if she didn't have any physical touch with them, I wouldn't doubt she was getting some level of gratification, or I don't know. It just seems too weird for there not to be some sort of level of gratification from the hypersexualized conversation she was having with those kids. So even if she wasn't intending to go all the way with the grooming, it did seem like she started the practice. Her relationship with them was very toxic, and she was able to manipulate young people into doing free labor for her. And let's just go on. The perception of Ballinger as a groomer nevertheless has snowballed. Ballinger eventually decided, what else? To post another YouTube video. She took out her ukulele to awkwardly sing through her defense, implying the internet seized upon the allegations that she was a groomer for entertainment. She said she wanted her fans to be her friends, admitting that the desire was wrong. I'm not a groomer, just a loser. I saw that video. That video was a train wreck. Literally. That video was, like I said, it was one of the most entertaining things I've actually ever seen on YouTube for just... You see, I like content. I like to watch people's downfall. I am the Hell's Harlequin after all. So seeing her destroy her own reputation like that, she could have just ignored the claims. She could have just stand behind her mountains of money and just let this whole storm blow over, and she would have probably been just fine, because the internet tends to have an extremely short attention span, even when it comes to, unfortunately, people who have done crimes against children. But eventually that would sizzle out, and her fans would she might have lost some fans, but she would have probably still, weathered the storm. But instead, she decided that, you know what? I'm gonna take my ukulele and sing my non-apology and be the most millennial of millennials and show that I'm cute and I'm not like some creepy 36-year-old woman. I'm adorable. Why is everyone attacking me? Oh my goodness. Why? Feel bad for me. Oh, pity me. She just decided to do this whole I feel sorry for myself because people are saying bad things about me. You should feel sorry for me too. She thinks that she is more she thinks that her... I am flustered. But the audacity of that woman, I have never before seen that level of narcissism. I cannot imagine the sense of entitlement. Like, if someone accused me of terrible acts against children, my first response wouldn't be, you know what, I'm gonna do a little rock anthem. Yeah, I'm gonna sing my defense. No, for one thing, I would never do anything against children, so let's just assume that let's just say that what happened wasn't true. Like, sure, there's that whole jump to, I want to defend myself if it wasn't true, which, I'm sorry, there's too much evidence against this woman. But let's say that I personally got accused of things that weren't true, and the accusations were just heinous. Like, they made accusations that I did something to children. I would be so incredulous about the whole thing. Be lividly angry, but you know what I would do? I would keep my big mouth shut, and I would let lawyers handle the whole thing. And then once lawyers have handled the whole thing, I would sue everyone for defamation. That's what I would do. I would just wait it out, see how it goes, and then sue. Sue when it's all blown over. Do the things you gotta do like an adult. She sang her way to her own demise. It was insane, but also so validating. It was just so hilarious. That was one of the best suicides I have ever seen. The apology was roundly mocked. Man. You guys need to look up the apology. It is the best train wreck ever. Especially on YouTube, where parodies had already gotten millions of views. Soon, an old video of Miranda sings performing The Single Ladies with dark green makeup unearthed by former fans to find. You need a copy of her books with a QR code linking to it. Who said it looked like she was performing on blackface. Her lawyer sent out a statement explaining that this was the use of makeup. Headlines were changed, but corrections were not issued. Okay, you know what, Vanity Fair? We don't care. Like, do you realize harming children is more important than performing in blackface? Like, performing in blackface, sure, it's very racially insensitive. But traumatizing children is worse. Like, I don't care if she performed in blackface. I really, really, really don't care. What I care about is that she harmed children. Like, do you realize the ickiness of this? In her live performance, she stuffed a bag of cheese balls in the top of her pants and had a little kid reach in and grab a cheese ball from her pants. You can't make this up. She humiliated a 16-year-old girl. She brought an audience member on her stage, 16-year-old girl. This girl was in a miniskirt, and she said, we're going to do a yoga challenge. She took the girl and spread her legs open on stage, and then they loudly made a fart noise to humiliate this girl. And she felt so mortified, so humiliated. You don't do that. When you have fans join you on stage, you just thank them. You're the one who's supposed to be made an ass of, not your fans. As the comedian, you're supposed to be the butt of all the jokes. Or if you were to humiliate someone if you were to humiliate a fan, it should be someone who was planted in the audience, who knew what was going on, and who received a paycheck from this humiliation. You don't bring poor 16-year-old girls on stage and publicly humiliate them to where they don't even want to be seen in school the next day. If it was me, I would be mortified. And she even said in her apology, she didn't get why everyone was so mad over a fart joke. Oh my goodness. Colleen. I want to strangle you. I am a non-violent person, but I want to strangle you. The only thing that makes me feel better about this whole situation is that you've already hung yourself with your damn ukulele strings. Okay, so this is really rich. Back then, teenage Adam perhaps hoped for some sympathy, another chance is way back into Ballinger's fold. The internet is generally too cruel for that. Judgment is swift, but one can look at the devolution of Miranda Singh's empire to see it no longer drags out. The harder it is to pin down the exact truth. Justifiable outrage turns into silly memes, headlines, and videos. If there is one thing the saga of Colleen Ballinger and her fans taught us is today's winners is tomorrow's losers. So I hate how much this is a hit piece over poor Adam. He was so badly treated by Colleen. Oh my goodness. He was doing favor after favor for that woman. And apparently there was even a point where she was going to repay him by spending a day with him in I can't remember where, but in Ireland. And they were supposed to go to a wax museum, and his mother drove him out 3 hours, and Colleen canceled on him at the last minute after that long car ride, and he ended up like trapped in a city he didn't even know of. And she just doesn't care. I've only met one fan of mine in person, and I have to say that was a really fun experience. So yes, I would love to meet my fans. You know, it's insane to me that someone can be this narcissistic, this deluded, and it's even more insane that someone would defend her behavior. I do not understand if it's because she's a YouTuber or, because internet celebrities seem to be able to sleaze their way through a lot of controversies that other celebrities don't seem to be as easily able to do. Or is it because she's a woman? Or is it a mixture of both? Is this horrible, horrible double standards nowadays? Like, is it because primarily her victims were men, but not all of her victims are men? This person, the only thing you could actually probably criminally get her for is distributing porn to minors. But if there was a bad person award, I swear Miss Ballinger is a contender to just being a general terrible human being. There was a young person who wanted who got a backstage pass to see Miss Ballinger, one of her performances. And those are pretty pricey. And they wanted a picture with her where she got a picture holding hands, and they were supposed to get another picture with a hug. But this person was quite heavy set. And, Corey, Ballinger's gay henchman, told her that, I'm sorry, you can't hug, told them that, I'm sorry, you can't hug Miss Ballinger because you're just too big. She can't get her arms around you. And I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? It's not like you have to get your hands completely around someone to hug them. We don't have to do like a freaking huge bear hug. Are you just telling me Ballinger just doesn't like to touch fat people? Is that it? Is that the case? Oh, as well as she apparently reported that fans were faking illnesses. She doesn't believe fibromyalgia really exists because she mocks people for having it. Netflix show, she had a mother who faked having fibromyalgia. This person is just, because according to inside sources, she doesn't believe most of these people with invisible illnesses actually have these illnesses. And she's very skeptical whether or not you have an invisible illness. And as someone who has an invisible illness, I have bipolar, and I take a lot of medication for it. Tons of medication for it. And everybody doesn't even believe I have issues. But I'm like, no, without my medications, I don't function. Like, you don't understand. I have, like, sat in a corner sobbing, shaking for hours when I'm not medicated because sometimes the episodes just get that bad. But yes, when you look at me, you can't tell there's anything wrong. There is a lot of people out there with invisible illnesses. And I hate using, like, so much SJW terminology, but that is ableist. That is the most ableist thing I've ever heard. That is like a proper actual usage for it. This woman is horrible. maybe I'm just getting so worked up because we're both millennials, and we're the same age, so I'm feeling like, I gotta stick up for my generation, show that we're not all like this. Anyways, tell me in the comments, tell me what you think, your thoughts in the comments down below. So yeah, tell me, do you think that this is because she's a YouTuber, or do you think it's because she's a woman, or do you think it's because her victims are primarily male? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I wish all of you a pleasant rest of your day.